I'm not a moralist. I'm effectivist, ethical. You do what you want to, as long as you're doing it without harm, knowingly harming someone. There ain't no heaven in the sky, ain't no hell below. We all creators, and we make our own heaven and our own hell. Peace. It's Travis Odewell. It's Pure Sound Daily Business. This is the reset. So we had 365 episodes, and now I'm gonna focus in. Knowing my coaching today, Bert was talking about specializing. Another way, I'm sure you heard it if you done any kind of business course, talk about finding your niche market. Finding who your people are. Or just becoming very highly skilled, a specialist in what you do. And I make this statement that I'm not a moralist is because we'll leave the moralism to the moralists. This is about what works, not what is moral. That is a different conversation. And I believe it's actually a matter of individuals. Individuals have to be moral. Individuals have to be on the path of growth and development. And that's the system. So the only way to destroy any system is for each individual to be working on themselves, developing their own system. But there's always going to be systems. There's always going to be ways things get done. And that's what we focus in on here. We focus in on how business is done and how organizations are run. And we create the heaven or the hell for ourselves based on how we move, based on how much we accept reality. Pure Sound L, it's like we started out, this whole podcast started out talking about the business elements. Leads, getting more people, leads, having a message, marketing, what it is you're doing, what is the value, what is your product or service, packaging, and how you getting the money and how you counting up the money. Getting the bag, counting the bag, operations. Now, over the whole Pure Sound method, it's development and design. So what I just laid out was business design. And we have culture design. We have... Is that wrong? That is wrong. We have lifestyle design, leadership development, business design, and culture development. As our 4 pillars of the Pure Sound method. A big thing we're going to be leaning into is the culture development. And a lot of people just have a fundamental misunderstanding of what things are and what they are not. And it's really a matter of their own agenda, ego, and all those things happen because we're not accepting of truth. Truth isn't just math. This says this thing, these numbers equal this thing. That's just data. That's just information. That's logic at best. That's not the only truth. It's what I love about what Carl Jung developed. What he discovered about the world. What he discovered about ourselves. And worked out a theory. This is what we're doing here. Life is for learning. This individual I have a high regard for, Swiss European individual. I know I touched on it on the Facebook Live. He is a Swiss representing his people, his culture, his heritage. I say European very generally. Like we say African very generally. But people have nationalities. It's where we come back around to culture. Nationality ties in culture. It's a manner of acting. With my people, my community, especially when we talk about hip hop, now I'm not going to pretend to be super in like dug into hip hop. I know when I was younger, I was really about hip hop. And then in the early 2000s is when I stopped listening to so much of it. I'm really coming back around now with shout outs to Kendrick's demonstration. Because to be honest, it's really this Kendrick, do I want to call it beef? I show my hand on what side I lay on. I was going to say this destruction, but we'll keep it fun. The Kendrick and Drake beef. And it brought me back into really checking out the music. And some of the things I was watching, and I've heard this for a while, obviously, is the culture. Now, the culture is in music. Why I have an issue with that? Because it's minimizing what not only culture is, but what our culture is. As a Moorish American Muslim, as an Asiatic American, or whatever twists we want to put on it. Those who know what it is. As being part of that community. Culture is bigger than just music. I don't like minimizing ourselves. It's just like another thought is minimizing ourselves as far as only tying us back into enslavement in the Western Hemisphere, in the Americas. Have an illustrious history. And you have your own specific history. If you're olive-skinned, you may have a history that ties right into the ancients of the Americas. You may have a history that ties into the ancients of Mali, of Mauritania. Right? You may have history. This is the flip side. Those that aren't of that olive hue may go back to the Vikings that came here early. Right? Europeans, all sorts of peoples were in the Americas. So this is bigger, this is culture. And this is what we're going to tap into. Because when we start talking about culture, we start talking about leadership, we start talking about building a legacy. We start talking about building a nation, community building, connecting with each other, relationships, love for self, love for others, love for righteousness, and all that is right. So let's think on that. Let's have bigger ideas. And let's hold each other accountable with love as our guide. But it ain't nothing cute about it. But we'll keep on building upon it. So what's your culture? Let's keep it easy, light work. I know Europeans that don't know, European Americans that don't know nothing about where their people come from, just as well as Asiatics, and flip. People that can trace themselves back to the old world, to this land, whatever their complexion is. So let's tap back into the ancestors, tap back into our old ways, and move them into the modern era. The useful parts, the loving parts. It's Travis Odewell. It's Pure Sound Daily Business. Peace.